Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the fundamentals between light and dark in how to draw a lit sphere. So it's easy to take an object and to decipher which side is in the light and which side is in the dark. But how are those shadows actually made? Let's take a bit and let's learn how light works, how shadows work, and how they all come together. All right, let's take a look at this tomato. We can see that the light source is coming in from the left and the right side is shadow. But how do we draw it? Step number 1, draw a circle. In order to draw a more accurate circle, you can lightly sketch out two squares atop of each other with one turned at a 45-degree angle. Then just connect the lines within the square to create the circle. Step number 2, indicate the light source. I like to additionally draw a little arrow so that you know the angle at which the light source is coming from, especially when you're learning. This can be implied once you have the hang of it. Then you can go ahead and erase all those lines from your square. Step 3, indicate the terminator line. What is a terminator line, you ask? The terminator line is an implied line. It is the dark band of shadow that exists where two light sources meet. But wait, didn't we only indicate one light source? Yeah, we did, but in almost all circumstances, there is light that reflects from the surface up and back onto your object at the bottom opposite side of your light source. That light's called ambient light. This light can be sharp or incredibly diffused, but still present. We'll come back to this soon. Step number 4. Along the object, change your straight terminator line into a curved line that follows the curvature of your sphere. This is where you will find your core shadow, or the darkest shadow on your sphere. At this point as well, you may wish to add a horizon line for your surface, and, for learning purposes, shade in a light to medium toned background so you're able to assess the highlights easier. Hey, Winston. Step number 5. Determine the cast shadow and its limits. The cast shadow is exactly as it sounds, the shadow that has been cast from the object in front of the light source. To determine its start and end points, draw lines that extend past the object at the same angle as the light source. Step number 6, the form shadow. The form shadow can now be filled in with an even, medium tone. The form shadow exists as the shadowed side of the sphere, the side opposite to the light source. But why didn't we just shade it super dark then? Remember what we said about reflected light? That's coming back into play here. At this stage, you're shading in a medium tone to imply the light being reflected back onto the sphere. Step number 7. In an even, medium tone, you can also fill in the cast shadow, or the shadow that appears on the ground. Same rules apply here as the form shadow. We are shading in with a medium tone because other light sources are affecting the shadow, making it lighter and darker in places. Your light source and surface will affect the edges of your cast shadow. If your light is soft and the surface is textured, for example, you would have soft edges. But if your light source is harsh and your surface is hard, you will have harder edges. Step number 8, turning the form. You're going to use shading to make the sphere appear round, adding in the half-tone shadow, or the shading on the other side of the terminator line, and leaving the highlight. Your half-tone shadow, being closer to the light source, will always be brighter than your form shadow. Step number 9. Next, let's add a core shadow, or the darkest part of your shadow. It is the dark band that exists where no light from the direct light source meets the form. Step number 10. Really finesse the modeling of your sphere here, layering the shading and working on a smooth texture. You can layer your shading to create deeper tones, or perhaps you want to use a softer pencil. Also, ensure that you keep your highlights bright. Step number 11. Refine your cast shadow. You can now add in the darkest part of your cast shadow, the occlusion shadow. The surface opposite to the light source, where the sphere sits on the ground, will be the darkest, as no direct light will hit here, and soften the form out from there. Step number 12. Refine all shading a final time, and clean up any messy edges with your pencil or eraser. Sometimes going in with a 2H pencil will help to fill in any areas you may have missed. And it's as simple as that, and this system can be applied to all objects using the same principle of light and shadow. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.